If you're at Revelation, you need to turn back. You need Luke before you get to Revelation. Amen. Luke 12, verse 13. Still saved?
Still saved.
All right, let me read, and then you'll follow along with me. One of the great parables. Verse 13 says, someone in the crowd said to him, "Teacher, tell my brother to divide the inheritance with me." Verse 14, Jesus replied, "Man, who appointed me a judge or an arbiter between you?" And he said to them, "Watch out and be on your guard against all kinds of greed. Life does not consist in the abundance of possessions." And he told them this parable. The ground of a certain rich man yielded an abundant harvest. He thought to himself, "What shall I do? I have no place to store my crops." Then he said, "This is what I'll do. I will tear down my barns and build bigger ones. And there I will store my surplus grain, and I'll say to myself, you have plenty of grain laid up for many years. Take life easy, eat, drink, and be merry." But God said to him, "You fool, this very night your life will be demanded from you. Then who will get what you have prepared for yourself? This is how it will be with whosoever stores up things for themselves, but is not rich toward God." Amen. Blessing to the reading and to the hearing of his most holy word.
Amen.
Our sermonic theme today is, what are your values? What do you value? The challenge of our day arises from our inward desire to satisfy our flimsy yet selfish desires. There is an innate desire, something within us that desires for us to place value on earthly possessions and concerns. To the point, church, that we would die for those possessions. Our energy focuses on the worldly possessions as if they would last forever. Or even if we believe that they are ours, how long will they last? I remember when the gang issues within our inner cities, let's be clear, is not new. I remember in the 80s when the activists were coming out to talk to the gangs in Chicago. I remember them saying to the gang members that you're dying for property you don't even own. You hear what I say? You dying for property you don't even own. So you carved out a territory in which you're dying for, and you pay no taxes or have no ownership in this territory. But it was a driving force, and it can become a driving force among ourselves to be so territorial and so fleshly driven that we become so focused on self-preservation. Right? What have you done for me lately? It arises then, church, and what comes from it then is the ability or the notion or the audacity to believe that somebody owes you something. Right, that somebody owes you something. I'm at this, and I begin to see life through the eyes of my parents, which means that I have to wonder how they thought with us as kids. And I believe that when I'm telling my kids that I can't buy them something, their response is, just go to the bank. They say it like they put the money in there. Right. But they operate from the notion that I owe them something. Amen? When they owe me rent. And room and board. So it is this thing, and this all fight will all to preserve something, even though you don't own it, and it will pass away. Look, how does white nationalism arise? It arises from the notion that somebody owes them something. Right? Rise. These are our boys. Right. You have the audacity to come into our nation. And if you don't like it, go back to where you came from. It is this sense of entitlement that arises and that can become so fleshly and so desirable that it will cause somebody to kill just to protect it. Come on, talk to me, somebody. The notion that if indeed the world becomes a little bit more brown, then we must stop it and we must preserve what we have, even though stolen in the first place. Right. But it indicates then the values that a person has to drive such a distance in order that they could commit mass murder. The ability to believe that there will be no more better day than the day in which that day is that they live, in order that they can get the glory for the nationalist movement. They go out in the blazing fire or be arrested as a martyr. What are the values? What do we value? How prevalent would we see this type of these fleshly desires and needs that lead to destructions of countries and of families? We look right there in the Bible, Noah, who performed the great feat of navigating the great flood, fell to his drunkenness and lust and caused division amongst his family. Or Solomon, entitled with the great wisdom, fell to the self-righteous expectations of foreign women and treasures. Or who could forget Samson, who prostituted his strength for the lust of the foreign woman? You owe me something. Therefore, I must rise up and get it or take it, no matter what it destroys, what family it kills, what heart it breaks. It's not ever about you, it's only about me. And if I am praised, if I am okay, then who cares how you're feeling? Each case then leads to a dysfunctional and destructive future. And I must say this, that the church must be careful to avoid a self-righteous posture of what is owed to us because of our history. 70-something years does not make us entitled. It definitely shows a great and outstanding history for survival, but riding it into the future could be destructive and dysfunctional and then push away souls that are most needed, are most needing love and comfort simply because we survive upon the tradition that we hold so well. We can be caught up in our own past and our own self-centered desires that we forget the called responsibilities that God brought us to. Preachers will become focused much more on how many times do we get a chance to preach instead of service. Pastor gets more focused on how did the sermon sound? Can I see myself again? Deacons will begin to worry about seating charts or the order of service instead of the sick for whom they are responsible. Leaders will worry about personal issues and disputes instead of and worrying about the moment instead of the future in order that generations can enjoy what we enjoy also. It is the self-righteous belief that it is us and only us and forget those who come behind us. Wait your turn like I waited my turn. It then becomes church about us, about the moment, instead of releasing to a greater call and a greater opportunity. We must be careful, and the church must be wary of itself, where it runs the risk of avoidance of the call. And nothing is owed to peoples because of our reputation of the past. But it is all praise to God who brought us here this far. And if we lose it, then we lose the responsibility. And then we become dysfunctional and stagnant in movement. New ideas will not be received simply because we haven't done it before. New souls will not be brought in simply because we can be cliquish for the moment. Nobody owes us nothing. I remember one of the first things I learned, an elder in the church told me, he said, I'm going to tell you this one thing, you take with you through your ministry. It ain't no law to say anybody got to come to church. Nobody will arrest him. It would be nice, wouldn't it? Come on, deacons, go out there and start arresting people and get them right in here. Put them on the mourners row. But the opportunity then, church, we can lose focus on the opportunity simply because we seek to satisfy ourselves. Now, this scripture illustrates here, church, one of the great scriptures, this self-righteousness that can occur in the Bible, it can descend to the church. Let's go to verse 13. Still saved? Come on, verse 13. Still saved? Now look at what it says. Someone in the crowd said to him. Now you got your chance now in Jesus. Right? This is what he said. Teacher, tell my brother to divide the inheritance with me. Come on, we can put it in our context. Jesus, go get my money from my brother. Now you got Jesus right here with you. Okay, now this is the first thing on top of your head. Go get my money, Jesus. You the Christ, ain't you? Right? Christ is not a loan shark or a henchman. Now, here it is here now. The start of interacting with Christ to see what you can get for yourself. It is the mistake that we make when we now become part of this awesome power. Make it work for me because you owe me, not him, not her, or anyone else, but you owe me. Make him pay what's due to me. You must reassess your prayer life and look at what you're praying for. Come on. Are you praying, Lord, please, let the pastor call my name so I can get recognition? What about this one? Please, make the pastor call my name or raise me above everyone else. Or this one, the pastor didn't call my name, so get him. I want the same attention that the pastor, the preacher, or the deacon get. So where then do our values lie? Is it lie on us, or should they be about the service that's required of us? If you called to serve, then it doesn't matter when or how your name is called, or how your name is called. You serve, right? So you have to be able to release from these things in order that you can carry out the work of the Lord. Because when the work of the Lord becomes about you, it's not going to last. Right? It's just not. When the church becomes about itself, then its time is limited. When it comes about the Lord, we can see eternity. Come on, let's go to verse 14. Still saved? Look at Christ's response. Jesus replied, "Man, who appointed me a judge or an arbitrator between you?" Then he said to them, "Watch out. Be on your guard against," look at this, church, "all kinds of greed. Life does not consist in the abundance of possessions. Be on guard against all kinds of greed. Be careful that your salvation does not come down to possessions and the illustration of wealth to everyone else. Or does it not come down to our own self-righteous struggle with flesh?" The text says all kinds of greed which can manifest itself into self-promotion. Right? It's not just about money or wealth. It's about our own inward greed. We put our families at risk because of our own inward greed. When we make life about the me instead of about the us, we put all persons at risk because of our own greed. That's the challenge that we face. Now again, it's not easy to get over. Paul is clear. Look, I want to do right, but there's something in my members that causes me to do wrong. When Christ enters into this parable, it's a man who spent so much time on the organization of his possessions instead of the good that he could do for the world. Right? Look. He said it. Let's go to these verses. Let's go to verse 18. Still saved? He said, "Look, this is what I will do. I will tear down my barns, build up bigger ones. There I will store my surplus grain, and I'll say to myself, you have plenty of grain laid up for many years. Take life easy, eat, drink, and be merry." He's serving himself. Right? Now Christ is quick to respond. Verse 20, right? God said to him, "You fool. This very night your life will be demanded from you. Then who will get what you have prepared for yourself? You did all of this only to die tonight." Look at the good that you could have done if you thought outside of yourself and see a better way for somebody else. Former Pastor Lynn, always had Pastor Lynn would talk to you about death, but he always said this: "I never seen a U-Haul go to the cemetery." Y'all remember he said that? "I never seen a U-Haul pull up in the cemetery." When you go to Egypt and to the pyramids, all the possessions that they had in there, they still up in there. The ones who's gone is the pharaohs and the human beings. Right? So if it becomes in church, you need to say, where do your values lie? Can you serve in this context without getting the appreciation that you so long for? Can you do it? Can you live in the way in which the Lord is calling you to live without having the appreciation of the friends who you have had to leave behind? Can you do it? Come on. Can you preach without a clap? Can you serve without a pat on the back? Can you sing without, without anybody in the sanctuary? Can you do it unto the Lord instead of trying to satisfy or appease the numbers that's here? Can you do it? Deacons, can you pray when there's no one else there to pray? Can you do it? Or are you like the person who gets the chance in front of Jesus and comes to the selfish, and I got Jesus right here, look here, go get my money. Come here, Jesus, go get my money. My inheritance, what is owed to me that my brother has. That's our challenge there, church. That is the challenge that is placed before the church in these days. As we now are fighting against and rising up and having to rise up against these evil acts of violence that are right on our doorstep. Them today could be us tomorrow. Those who are living with the gang divide, which is like within the inner cities, or ungrateful and unfocused politicians who are more concerned about power than character for the nation. The church cannot afford to become that. If anything, they have to be able to look at us and say, that's different. That's where I want to be. That's our challenge, church. That's our challenge. In these days and times, our challenge. It's bigger than the numbers. Yeah, the numbers do matter, we get it. It's bigger than that. It's the fact that in the chaos or in the challenges that we have, can we stand up and still be the church? Can we sing it? Can we preach it? Can we serve it? Can we love it? Can that be us? It has to be. Or else, like care, it'll fade away. What kind of world would this world be if they didn't have to look up and see the cross of Jesus? All we have to do is emulate the blood-stained man. It was never about him. If it was about him, he wouldn't have made it to Calvary Mountain. But because it was not about him, he made it to Calvary Mountain. He died and he rose from the dead. He came down to earth. It wasn't about him. It was about us. Now let's not let him down. Because he sure wouldn't let us down. Come on, let's praise God for Holy Ghost. Come on, let's thank God.